Hey, I'm Dustin Sanchez. I'm here at White Picket Realty in Houston, Texas. I'm here with Alan Hernandez. We've been investing together in the Houston market since 2011. And today we want to talk about passive income through private money lending. I'm in 2 deals in with Alan and they're going just great. And I know my Instagram and my YouTube channel has a ton of, number 1, attorneys on it, number 2, marketing experts who just have a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines right now because of the market. And I found this great investment opportunity, although nothing I say here should be considered valid legal advice or valid investment advice, but I want to share this opportunity with some of my audience. So before we get into that, let me just hear from Alan. Alan, tell us a bit about yourself.
What's going on, everybody? Alan Hernandez here, broker director of White Picket Realty. I operate an investment company that helps people like Dustin and other folks invest in real estate mortgages passively, which makes it even better. And now that we've gotten a chance to work some together, we thought it would be good to bring just more information about this to everyone so that any of you out there wondering how people are making this kind of money in mortgages right now could also replicate and also take advantage of this.
Absolutely. Let me just give everyone the backstory. You know, my parents are in their 70s, they're retired, and one of the major issues that our family has had to come up with was how do we pay for their senior living facility? How do we pay for their bills and everything that seniors run into? You know, and my sisters and brother, we all have our own business, our own ongoing concerns. And so what would be awesome for us was if we could just park some of mom and dad's money and, number 1, have it very secure so that it doesn't lose capital. And number 2, cash flow, monthly cash flow to pay mom and dad's bills. And that's where Alan stepped in and kind of really saved my family. So we're here to talk about that. Tell everyone what a private money loan is.
Well, I love the fact that you mentioned this has really been an important part of saving your family, because what I'm really hearing is that you had, and I'm sure tons of other people have, money sitting on the sideline, and I'm sure you had options that you were looking into,
right?
And you probably looked into like the options that everybody does, right? Like some sort of passive investment with the local bank, or maybe buying some stocks.
Yeah.
And so when you were going through that, what did you find out there?
Well, here's the deal. You buy a stock today, it may go up tomorrow, it may go down next month, but your bills are still there month to month. As a senior citizen, who my parents are senior citizens, you really want to preserve capital, because if their capital goes down, they're not going to make money on that lost capital. And so I'm not a real estate expert, but I know some real estate in the Houston market will hold its value. And if I can get a private money loan that is secured by that asset, I am essentially preserving capital. And that was why I shied away from other investments. Nothing else offered cash flow and the ability to preserve capital.
And so that's where private investments in mortgages really come in. And the private investment mortgages that we typically handle are from lender to end borrower, and typically it's a business to business loan. So these are not mortgages that are made to someone who is looking to live in their house, because those are much more highly regulated, and there's a whole slew of legal issues that can come from that. And we are going to talk somewhat legal here in just a minute, but the most important thing is that when you're lending money as a lender and there's an end borrower LLC that says, hey, I just need money to flip this house, or I just need money to put this house back in order so I can rent it out again, then you as a lender can become that person that lends that person the money, first lien position, meaning if something doesn't go quite right, you can always take that asset back. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but that's what really like secures everything, and why your parents' capital in this recent mortgage that we put together is secure because it's going to pay you monthly dividends, and the principal is always going to be there. And if for some reason something goes sideways, you can always collect that asset that you lent on back.
Okay, well that's actually a good segue, because in presenting this opportunity to my brothers and sisters, my family, they had questions. I've already invested with you on a deal like this, so those questions were answered for me. But their first question was, what is this loan secured by? What if Alan doesn't pay? How secure is this loan? And talk about that for us.
Yeah, so the way that we're structured is we're the management company. So we're the company that is going to match make, per se. So you, the lender, Dustin's LLC, is going to match make with a potential borrower who has a flip and or creating some sort of rental portfolio but needs access to quick funds, right? And so we just put both of those together, and the way that it's secured through a first lien, meaning just like when you buy a regular house, when you buy a house that you're going to live in, the bank makes you sign a deed of trust, and that deed of trust says, basically it says, if you don't pay, you don't stay. Right. That's what it really ultimately says, which means when the borrower doesn't perform or make a payment as to how the agreement is set up, then the lender can take that asset and then now is in full ownership of that asset. So ultimately the loan or the investment is secured by 4 brick walls, which is what makes it very attractive.
Right, and when we did our first deal, comps were run on that asset, the house, and I could see that the after repair value of this house was going to be greater than the loan. So I knew I would get my money back in the unlikely event that we had to foreclose or something.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the safety factors that we build into these type of loans. So there's multiple levels of safety, but the major piece is the equity. Because if you're lending on a house, if you're investing in a house, and you're lending at that property, but that property is worth 30% or more than what you're lending on it, if for some reason something went sideways, you have that 30% plus equity spread that says you can still afford to go in there and either finish the repairs if needed or hire a real estate agent to list it and sell it for you and still walk away with your principal.
Got it. Okay, let's start with this next question. Is basically just, is it legal? But before we answer this, I want to let everyone know I am a licensed attorney. I've done real estate deals, so I didn't hire an attorney on these deals. I just reviewed the documents myself. Everyone who's not a licensed attorney should hire your own real estate lawyer. It may cost between $300 and $500 for that real estate attorney to review the documents of this deal for you and tell you if everything's above board, okay? So the question I'm gonna throw at you, Alan, is this legal?
Yeah, it's absolutely legal. And people, unfortunately, don't know enough about this. So it's not a widely spread known avenue of investment, because that normally the investment vehicles that you see are the ones that you mostly see online by large companies. And in this scenario, you're not dealing with large companies. You're generally dealing with a small company, a mom and pop's business. And so because of that, you don't get a lot of access to it from the public perspective. Okay. Absolutely, it's legal, but I do want to throw something out there. You mentioned, you have a real estate or an attorney's license. I have a broker's license. This is by far, and I want to make sure that we're clear, this is not investment advice. This is for everyone out there to know that this possibility exists, because this is how you can let other people know what their options are. So the way that we make it legal is number one, it's a business-to-business loan. It's not a consumer loan. Okay. So you, as the investor, you're creating a loan document that is accepted by the borrower's LLC. And because of that, then the consumer protection laws are going to be completely different than what they would be if you were Bank of America doing a loan to a homeowner.
Okay.
Right? So number one, that's the first thing that allows us to do this. Two, there's attorneys involved.
Right.
And so like anybody out there that thinks about doing this, the first thing you want to do is have an attorney that creates the documents, and maybe an attorney that reviews the documents on your behalf. Or look into people that have already done it for advice, like Dustin and myself, who can look at something and say, hey, this is the right way or the wrong way, or maybe you should get monthly payments and not just one lump sum payment, which is what a lot of investors mistakes that they make.
Right, and from a 10,000 foot overall view of the legal process, White Picket Realty's attorney draws up all the documents. Those documents are sent to your attorney. Your attorney reviews those documents. Then the deal goes to closing, right? And a title company runs title, handles the entire closing like if you were buying any other house, and then all of those documents, including your first lien deed of trust, are filed in the county courthouse, in this case, Harris County. So everything is legal, but again, hire your own attorney.
You know, one other thing that I can think of is that the money never touches the borrower's hands.
There you go.
So like, that's another really cool thing. When you as the lender are making this loan, you're sending your money to an escrow company, to a title company. That title company holds those funds until everyone has approved that transaction. All attorneys are agreed upon on the documents, and then they use those funds to pay off the previous mortgage, to hold an escrow for repairs, you name it, but it never actually touches the borrower's hands, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, just like any legitimate real estate deal, when you're buying your personal residence, escrow is involved. The money is in escrow. It's not like you're writing your real estate agent a check.
Yeah, can you imagine if Chase actually sent the money to the borrower? If they sent them like 250 grand? I mean,
right.
How many of those would get lost? In this case, it works the same way. The money is sent to the title company, and that's what secures it as well.
Okay. And you know, what everyone wants to know about making passive income with private money loans is about the money. What kind of return on investment can we expect here?
So when you're lending money in this scenario, which is, it's considered a private money investment to investors who are flipping or creating rental portfolios, you can expect to make double-digit returns on this. And if you set it up correctly, you can collect a check every single month. And that's what I advise my lender clients to do, because obviously the borrowers will have their own idea on how they want to structure loans. But my role is to really make sure that that investor that's putting the money in is secured, is getting paid, is making sure that, and that we're collecting the money from this party, the borrower, and making sure that our lender partner is continuously getting that check on time.
Right. You know, and what I look for in my own investments is, number one, preserve capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can't lose money. And of course, no investment is perfect, but when I see that this investment is secured by the home, by the asset, and knowing a bit about the Houston market, I'm secure in thinking this probably isn't going to lose money. So my can't lose money / preserve capital requirement is met, and then you get the added bonus of monthly cash flow, and it's all passive, it's hands off.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a while ago, you said, well, in this scenario, I don't have to worry about toilets. I don't have to worry about finding the right deal. I don't have to worry about finding the right borrower. And that's where all of this starts making a lot of sense for folks like yourself who have money sitting on the sidelines. And there's tons of other folks that are dealing with the same scenario, but they just don't know how or where. And maybe they already operate a business, so even like thinking about going into real estate and investing in it, but not knowing where or how or who, makes it really challenging, versus going to someone who already knows and understands and can point in the right direction.
Right, you make a good point, is that I don't have to be a real estate expert. I don't have to be a real estate investing expert. What I had to do was find a real estate investor that I could trust. and you and I have done 5 deals since 2011, bam, I found someone I can trust who produces positive returns. Now you go use your expertise to make all of these double-digit returns happen, and I sit back and trust you.
Yeah, and there's tons of great investors out there in the market. There's a lot of great avenues for folks that want to invest in mortgages privately. I would say that probably would be step number one, is find a real estate professional, someone with a lot of experience in this specific niche is going to be a requirement for building or having this type of investment opportunity.
A big question that people have is, how much can I invest? And I think that's a great opportunity to talk about our latest project, which we're calling the Energy Corridor Case Study. And this investment was $225,000, right? That's what I invested with Alan, and I'm getting a cash flow back of over $2,000 a month, which I can use to pay my parents' monthly expenses, and it's all passive. So Alan, discuss the Energy Corridor case study with us.
This is a really cool case. In this case, we had a wholesaler, someone who was out there looking for investment opportunities, bring this deal directly to me. And he said, hey, this family needs to sell their house immediately. They're moving out. I don't know what sort of scenario there was, so I wasn't privy to any of that personal information, but I do know that they needed to sell quick. And he brought it to us at 220, and he said, let's actually make this work. If you can close it at 220 in a week, let's put it together. I looked at the comps, easily worth 305, maybe even up to 325. So there's $100,000 spread there, tons of equity, and it needs hardly any work. It needs a little bit of paint, just tiny little things to get it market ready. It's already been rehabbed. So because it's such an easy to put together deal, and I know that you were looking for something to park your family's money in, and you wanted to be more secure, I just called and said, hey, Dustin, do you want to take a look at this one? Does it make sense? Because I know you have this money that you're being a little bit more reserved with. And that's really what kicked it off. We're actually closing it tomorrow. We're going to put a tenant in there. It's going to pay for itself. And this is where it starts making a whole lot of sense to invest in these mortgages, because while you're collecting a paycheck and this other tenant is making a monthly payment, once that investor, in this case it ended up being me that bought it, goes to refinance, then I'll start making some money too, right? But in the meantime, I'm incentivized to fix it up, do whatever it takes, get a tenant in there as fast as possible, so it's not money that's coming out of my pocket, so that I can continuously send you your money,
yes,
and then refinance it so that then I can start cash flowing.
Got it. And here's the real beauty from my perspective of passive income from this private lending deal, is that while you're out there doing all the technical real estate expert stuff, I'm sitting here running my online fitness business, and my parents are getting paid. I'm free to not run around and chase plumbers. I just run my business. My parents still get their cash flow, and it just solves a giant problem for us.
And that was the great thing when we sat down and we said, well, this solves a problem on your end. It also solved a problem on my end. And had it been a loan that we would have made to a third-party investor, what it would have done for that person is it would have funded a deal in 7 days instead of 45 days that a bank would have taken. Okay. And they would have collected that almost $100,000 in equity that they wouldn't have the ability to do any other way. And the only way that these things can come together is by having those key pieces of the puzzle in place. In this case, you have the money ready to deploy. This person over here has the deal that they found ready to go. The investor just needs to put all of that together, and that's how we get paid. Is we put it all together. We take a little bit of the chunk in between, and that's how we can marry everything.
Perfect. Well, listen, let's go ahead and close this out. What I want to do is, my audience is mainly on Instagram and YouTube. So tell everyone where they can find you preferably on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, no, same thing. We're on Instagram at White Picket Realty. Same thing on Facebook. We have a lot of folks that follow us on Facebook. And we're working really hard on YouTube. Same thing, White Picket Realty is where you can find us. And if anybody out there is looking at this and has any questions on just which direction to go to or who to talk to, feel free to reach out to us. We want to be able to contribute to you guys with doing something like this in any market. We only invest here in Houston, but there's got to be tons of other places or avenues out there for those folks that are looking to do the same.
All right, Alan, thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye, guys.